All right, so we are going to go ahead and get started. As always, thank you guys for joining us today for CTA's Construction Talks. We have some special guests here today, and just to give you guys an overview, Construction Talks is a series of collaborative webinars that CTA will co-host in partnership with different partners. So today we have the Public Building Commission on the line, as well as PACE. And we want to talk to you about training and workforce opportunities. But this Construction Talks is a little different. We'll be talking about contracting opportunities for DBEs, MBEs, and WBEs. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the panel that we have today here. We've got Judy Curley from PACE, Juan Pablo Prieto from CTA, and Lori Ann Lipson from the Public Building Commission. And we'll go ahead and get started.
Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. My name is Juan Pablo Prieto. I'm the Director of Diversity Programs at CTA. My department is responsible for both the DBE small business programs, as well as our workforce initiatives with which China Hampton leads. So today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about CTA's DBE and SBE program. DBE stands for Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, and SBE stands for Small Business Enterprise. Those are the two programs that we have at CTA. And so the DBE program is a federal program run through the U.S. Department of Transportation. We receive quite a bit of federal funding, so that is the only program that we have. And CTA is very committed to the success of our DBEs and SBEs through our contracting opportunities. When our small businesses succeed, we succeed. So just to give you an idea, in 2019, we awarded over $177 million to DBE firms. Over 20 million of that went directly in direct prime contracts, so they were the prime contractor with the CTA. Just to give you a brief overview of our program, we are a certifying agency, and we participate in the Illinois Unified Certification Program, or UCP. There's five agencies in Illinois that certify DBEs: Illinois Department of Transportation, or IDOT, the City of Chicago, CTA, Metra, and PACE. If you're certified with one of us, you'll go onto a directory which we all use. As purchasing and the user groups within CTA develop contracting opportunities, they send them over to us to review them for a DBE goal. So we review every contract over $40,000. That's called our over money. What we've done recently since 2016 is on any task order based contract, we don't set an overall goal anymore. We look at each task order individually to see the opportunities there. So we'll review those contracts and task orders and assess a goal based on the availability of DBEs, based on how many DBEs are certified in that directory under those specific specialties. So we'll break a contract down by subcontracting opportunities. So if we have a construction project, for example, we'll require that the user group infrastructure provide us a cost estimate broken down of how much do you estimate for electrical work, how much do you estimate in carpentry, concrete, ironwork, so on and so forth, so that we can determine how many DBEs there are certified in those specific categories and set an aggressive yet attainable goal. Once those contracts go out to bid and the responses come back, we also evaluate the responses to make sure that they are responsive to the goal. And once the contract is awarded, we then monitor that contract to make sure that the DBEs on the contract are being treated fairly, that they are performing the work that they said they were going to perform, and that they're being paid on time. So we want to make sure that there is no point in bringing on the DBE if they're just going to be a pass-through, if you're just going to pay them and they're not going to perform services. The point of this program is to grow these small firms to the point where they can be prime contractors. And the only way you do that is by getting to work. So we want to make sure they're out there working. We do conduct site visits, and we want to make sure that you're being treated fairly and being paid promptly. We also host and attend outreach events. Obviously, in this new environment, they're virtual, but we have a team dedicated to making sure that DBEs and potential DBE firms know about the opportunities that we have. And then other programming, which I'll get to in the next slide, how we support the DBE community. Our small business program is an offshoot of the DBE program. We use the same kind of certification standards, except it's race and gender neutral, meaning we want those businesses to still meet the same size standards as a DBE, but we don't ask about the owner's ethnicity or gender. But we use this program to set contracts aside to provide more prime contracting or direct contracting opportunities for small businesses. A challenge that small businesses sometimes face in order to grow is that they don't have the direct experience in the contract with an organization like CTA. So you can never get that direct contracting experience. You can't qualify for some of the bigger contracts, all right? So it's kind of a chicken and egg thing. So we need to create that opportunity by setting contracts aside and saying only small businesses can compete for this contract, certified small businesses, so that the next time there's a bigger contract that maybe is not set aside, now they have the prime contracting experience to go after it. So all of those over money contracts that we review for a goal, we also look and see if we can recommend to set it aside through the small business contract. And the only way we can do that is to have more small businesses certified in more areas, because we also still need to make sure that it's a competitive pool that we're recommending. So we want to make sure that there's enough certified small businesses that there'll still be a competitive pool. And just to note, all DBE firms by definition are small businesses, so they're automatically included in our small business program. So CTA looks to include DBE participation in all of our contracting opportunities. Like I said, we assess all contracts over $40,000 for a goal, and even the ones that are under $40,000, we work directly with purchasing to identify any small businesses that could participate. You know, that includes supplies, professional services, and construction. I really want to focus in on construction today because that's where a lot of the opportunities are. So just to give you an idea, in 2019, CTA awarded over $97 million in prime and subcontracts to our construction projects. So you can see that there is a lot of opportunities through our construction projects. And some current opportunities that we have are the red and purple modernization, or RPM project. This is a $2.1 billion project on the north side of the city to reconstruct the red and purple lines. So we've got a flyover happening just north of the Belmont station on the red line, and then we're demolishing and reconstructing 4 stations from Lawrence to Bryn Mawr. So the prime contractor on this is Walsh Floor, and they're finishing up design and starting to put out a lot of construction packages. So if you have a construction firm, you're DBE certified, you need to reach out to Walsh Floor because they've got a lot of opportunities going on right now. Another program that we have where we contract through is our mid-level construction, or mid-con project program, excuse me. And this is where a contracting method where we have 6 prime contractors pre-qualified in a pool. And again, this is one where we've set goals on each individual work order. So we will set the goal on the work order, it'll go out to those primes, and those primes need to address the goal when they submit their price for that project. Again, a great opportunity. There's six primes in that bucket that you can network with to find out about those opportunities. And then another construction opportunity that we have that's out to bid right now is our pipe fitting, plumbing, and sewer work. Again, this is a construction opportunity. You can bid directly with CTA if you feel that you can meet the capacity and capability of the contract. It also has a DBE goal, so you can talk to the prime contractors that are interested to see if you can be included on their plan. Some future opportunities that we are in the planning phases right now and hoping to get out in the near future is our red line extension. We have a program manager. We are engaging a preliminary engineer as well. So that process is starting, and we're going to start pursuing funding for that so we can make that project a reality. And through that, there'll be a lot of construction opportunities. So be on the lookout for that, as well as our Congress line improvements on the blue line. We are starting to do some design work along that line. So those are some future opportunities. So in terms of support, just remember that diversity programs is your #1 advocate within CTA. We're here to help you. We're here to support you as individuals looking for careers, as small business owners, as potential small business owners. We want to help you. So my first piece of advice is register as a vendor. You can go to cta.dbesystem.com, and I'll put this in the chat a little later as soon as I'm done, and register as a vendor to make sure you're up to date on the opportunities that are coming out. If you feel you qualify for DBE, apply for the DBE certification process. It's a little bit of a tedious process in terms of paperwork, but once you get through it, you've got that DBE certification, and you can use that to market your firm. And then some of the supportive services that we offer at CTA, we have our Driving Small Businesses the Distance program. It was a quarterly series in which we talked about getting certified, doing business with CTA, and then how to use the softwares that we use in terms of B2G Now to track payments and LCP Tracker to put in your payroll. We will be bringing these back soon as webinars and have the videos posted so you can watch them at any time. Our Small Business Educational Series is an 8-part series where we have some prime contractors come in and teach classes to small businesses about how to do public work and how to do work with the CTA, how to get paid on time, how to close a project out correctly, safety plans, and so on. We'll have this starting up in September. We were going to start it in March, but the pandemic hit, so we'll see if there are any open slots for any firms that were already registered that dropped out, and we can put it back out. But we do this on an annual basis, so please look out for that. Our Building Small Businesses program is a program around building financial capacity. Right now, we're partnering with Walsh Fluor, the RPM contractor, and LISC Chicago to bring this program to you. We do a quarterly workshop to talk about financial capacity and how to get access to capital. And then you get a one-on-one session with a banker to talk about opportunities to pursue capital based on your either real estate or equipment or contracts, and really to grow in that area. Our Mentor Protege program is meant for large firms to help small firms grow in capabilities and capacity. So you can look at kind of at least three areas, whether it be IT, marketing, business administration, technical background, and really help that small firm gain more experience and learn more and grow as a company. And then finally, we have our DBE Advisory Committee, which is made up of prime contractors, DBE firms, and our technical assist agencies. We get together every other month to talk about CTA's DBE program and see where we can improve. So if you have any feedback, we can definitely let you know who is on that advisory committee so you can reach out to them. So that is a brief overview of CTA's programs. And with that, I will turn it over to Judy from PACE. Oh, you're on mute, Judy.
Sorry about that. I'm Judy Curley. I'm acting DBE Liaison Officer at PACE. And I'd like to start out by saying thank you to CTA for hosting this virtual outreach event. Since the pandemic prompted the stay-at-home orders, we haven't been able to go on site and participate. So thank you. We hope to participate in additional ones and perhaps even conduct our own in the future. So PACE is one of the largest bus services in North America. And we provide service in Cook, Will, DuPage, Kane, Lake, and McHenry counties. We have the fixed route, we have ADA paratransit, we have a dial ride program, on-demand program, ride sharing, matching, and van pool services. All the details of those programs you could find on our website at pacebus.com under Ride PACE. you could go to the next. So PACE is also, along with CTA, is one of the certifying agencies, and with the reciprocity amongst the 5 agencies. And right now, we are trying to increase our DBE participation. It is a priority at PACE. And we've raised our triennial goal from last year. And historically, we haven't had a large capital budget to do capital infrastructure. But through the Rebuild Illinois Capital Bill, we are receiving funding for several capital projects. And as the attendees are well aware, the capital construction projects offer a lot of robust goal opportunities. So we plan on evaluating those goals. We looked at every project over $40,000 also. Our plans are very similar to CTA as far as certifying, as far as putting goals on projects. We have a small business program also, and everybody in the Illinois UCP would be considered a small business enterprise too. We also have the certification for that also. So we have, so for us, the advantages of being certified in DBE, you are listed in the Illinois UCP directory. So you have an increased probability of being selected by prime contractors to count towards your DBE participation toward their contract goals. So PACE's procurements are listed on their website. And if you are registered as a vendor with PACE, we automatically email you those procurements. We suggest you download the procurement, look over it for subcontracting opportunities that your firm would be able to handle, attend a pre-bid meeting, introduce yourselves to the primes. Many DBEs and small business firms have the ability to bid as a prime too, if they have the capacity. So, like I say, all of our DBEs are considered SBEs. And we are in the process now of instituting the B2G software that CTA has. So that will actually help us with compliance and prompt payment and all that. We do that all anyway, but now we're using that same program. We have a few projects that we'll be looking at over the next 5 years. Can you change the slide? So we have ADA paratransit technology improvement and transfer location. So that would be like, we're looking for transfer points for ADA, like safe mini transit center drop-off points, improved radio service, mobile apps. I believe that's around a $20 million project. Then we have the new I-55 Express Garage and related infrastructure. That's a whole new garage that could be a $50 million project. We have the Wheeling Garage retrofit for bus operations and related infrastructure. It's already, the building is there. It used to be a giant copy center, but it needs to be expanded and retrofit for the bus operations. Approximately, it could be a $50 million project. Improvements to the Harvey Transit Center. It's redesigned to make it more pedestrian friendly, moving the parking closer to the transit building, build out for the Pulse service on the South region. River Division's expansion and improvements, midlife improvements, and expand the garage. Could be a $20 million project there. North Shore expansion and improvements to create infrastructure for the growth of the I-94 Express service. That could be around a $20 million project also. Southwest Division on improvements, midlife infrastructure improvements to support the Pulse on I-294 Express service. Be around a $17 million project. And then the I-294 Express service park and ride stations along I-294, similar to the Barrington Road one that we did this past year. So we have a lot of opportunities. We have current opportunities out there also, all listed on pacebus.com. If you go to Inside PACE, Doing Business, you'll see anticipated procurement opportunities listed out for the whole year and probably into next year. And then we have open solicitations for what is going on currently. Or is there another slide? Oh, and so some of the success stories as being a DBE is one of the transportation service, SCR Medical Transportation, started out as a DBE many, many years ago. They were in the Illinois UCP, they graduated from the program, and now they're the largest paratransit provider in Illinois. We've had a very prominent lawyer that is a lead disparity study expert, graduated from the DBE program with great success several years ago. And one of our DBEs that we have currently plays a major role in your CTA projects. And we also have a DBE that has a joint venture with a major construction firm approved through SBA's Mentor Protege program. So there's a lot of opportunities. We're here to help you too. So please feel free to contact us. Like I said, we do the certification here, and looking forward to working with you. Thank you again, CTA.
Thanks. My name is Lori Ann Lipson. I am the Chief of Staff at the Public Building Commission. Next slide. I know a lot of you probably don't even know what PBC is or what we do. We build on behalf of our sister agencies, and some of our clients are listed here, which include CTA, the City of Chicago, Fire, Police, Cook County, City Colleges, CTA. And what we do, we can start from the planning, design, construction, and closeout of any operation. And so you can see some of our projects throughout the city, which include the 31st Street Harbor, which hopefully people can now go to since we're in phase 4, and enjoy some of the sights of the city. Next slide. So I don't want to repeat what Juan Pablo went through very quickly and thoroughly about DBE, which is the same for M and WBE. So I don't want to belabor the point, but these programs are a little bit different. The MBE and WBE program are sponsored typically by municipality. So that would be Cook County, the City of Chicago, State of Illinois. They all have programs, but the PBC, we partner with the city. And so our goals for our minority business enterprise and women business enterprise for construction is typically 26 and 6. And for our professionals, it is 25 and 5. Again, these are just goals that are set at the beginning. Each project we have, similar to what Juan Pablo talked about, we look at them as individuals and set goals accordingly. Currently, we accept City of Chicago and Cook County certification. They have a reciprocal program. And again, once you're on that list, you avail yourself to a lot of opportunities as well as different agencies that we just discussed. Next slide. So in 2019, the PBC spent 251 million approximately, and 32% went to minority business enterprise and 9% went to women business enterprise. And to break that down a little bit further, we do look at ethnicity for all our projects. We do report on that, but to break down the number is approximately 17% of that MBE, WBE went to Hispanic firms, about 14% of that went to African American firms, and about WBE, Caucasian female, went to 7% of that number. So if you take that out and do it by ethnicity, that's what the numbers pan out to. I do want to talk a little bit about why these programs exist. It is to provide access to contracts, and we want to make sure we are building capacity. We want to make sure we are giving everyone a full shot at participating in government contracts, in addition to building capacity and the things Juan Pablo talked about, access to capital, there are already firms that are up and running that are already primed. So I don't want to make it sound like every time we talk about M and WBE that we're helping them. Some of them are already big successes already, and we are trying to have them come over to the government side. There are big successes on the private side. And how they're doing that, there's a couple things that minority and women-owned businesses should do to ensure their success and really to get out there. It's a little difficult now, but you can do that virtually through LinkedIn and participate in some of these online webinars. And some of them Judy mentioned too would be attend pre-bid meetings, go to pre-submission meetings, look at old contracts on websites of all these government agencies to look at what kind of participation they used to have. You can kind of look at where those numbers fall in. You can look at pay application that shows, hey, I looked at the Chinatown project and how much did the electrician make? All those things are all public information, and that helps you in your business know, are you in the right kind of zone where you are? And it gives you a little touch point of the business acumen that you may need to participate in government contracts. You can also, there are several assist agencies that all of us participate in. Those meetings are helpful, and they talk about all those projects that were just mentioned earlier. And again, another reason to do that is we also always talk about partner with a prime, but the example that you see on the screen are two firms that partner together, which is two minority and women-owned businesses. So we built the new Southside High School, which is called now Inglewood STEM School, and Ujamaa and Trice Construction partnered together. So there's two, one minority African-American owned firm and another minority woman-owned firm, African-American, came together, and their partners also reflected that, and to ensure that we did that in that community. For those who don't know, it's in the heart of Inglewood. So Moody Nolan, which is also an African-American architecture firm, Brook Architects, Griggs Mitchell, McKissick and McKissick, Level 1. These are just some of the examples. Next slide. The other thing that Juan Pablo talked about is not only those subcontracting opportunities, is the workforce. So we want to make sure that we have these hiring events. I know there's a couple questions in the question and answer that we will get to, but this is just as important as the minority business and women-owned participation, because not only do we want the businesses to reflect the community in which we're building, we also want the workforce to reflect the same thing. Next slide. And so these are just some of the other views from Southside, since now we get at least drive around and look at things. We also have, if you go to the next slide, I broke down some of the things that are important to folks for this project. Remember I said earlier, typically the goal is 26 and 6, but for this project, currently the actual numbers are almost 40% for minority business and almost 5 for women-owned businesses. And as projects move forward, we're in the closeout phase. The first class went in this year. We are ramping that up. And not only that, we also track the folks that work in the community and city residents. So the 1,317 is the number of all the workers that worked on the project. And we wanted to make sure we track that to make sure it's a reflection of the community, which it is, which is mostly Hispanic and African American. And then when we focus smaller, just on those community areas, you'll see those are 77. So those are the things we try to look for. Next slide. Another advantage we also have on the construction side, you think just construction, but remember we also have to have the architects and engineers that participate. So you want to make sure that all those things you really put forth, and that's when the networking comes into play. So before the projects get out, someone has to draw them. So we want to make sure that those architects and engineers that are behind the scenes are also represented. So we are, as a team, very interested in making those things forefront of our agencies, in addition to making sure that we are promoting that not only are they minority and women-owned businesses, they are successful businesses in the private sector as well. Next slide. And in order to find out about every agency has some type of alert system or sign-up system. Juan Pablo talked about CTAs, Judy talked about PACE. We also have a PBC alerts as job opportunities for workers come up, as well as participating on projects. You can also sign up for pbcchicago.com and sign up for PBC alerts. And I think my next slide is we will start our panel discussion, but I hope this gives you an overall consensus on how all the agencies, this is a forefront of really one of our goals is to make sure that these programs are successful. So I'll turn it back over to China for the panel discussion.
Thank you. And like I mentioned before, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A screen. And what we have a few questions, and I know that Lori mentioned it. So one of them was, and I think anyone can take this one from the group, do DBE companies need to be union?
That's a great question. You do not have to be union to be certified. However, the CTA has a multi-project labor agreement with the building trade unions. So to work on a CTA project, you have to be signatory or be willing to be signatory to a union. And you don't have to be signatory. You can do project-specific goals, essentially, or project-specific agreements. So as long as you're willing to approach the union that would be responsible for your area of work and talk to them about a project-specific agreement, you can work on a CTA project.
Thanks. Lori, and I think that, can you answer that question from an MBE, WBE perspective? Do MBE, WBEs have to be union?
No, that is a good question. So two parts of that. Most firms don't have to be union or union right. So if you're doing a professional services, your accounting, your bookkeeping, your engineer, your architect, all those services, you definitely don't need to be union. However, in the construction industry, we are in a unique position because we build on behalf of our client. So if our client has a project labor agreement, like Juan Pablo talked about, we would make sure we follow CTAs. CPS has a project labor agreement that's a little different than CTA. CHA has something, but they have some exceptions with Section 3. So the answer isn't clear cut. I know that's not a good panel discussion answer, but it just depends on what project, what you're doing, and the scope of work that you're doing.
Great. Thank you. Mm-hmm. And I think that we talked a little bit about, and we did have a question that was posed, and this is moving towards the workforce conversation that we had. So one of the participants asked, are you currently hiring for construction laborers? And I think that this would be an opportune time, one, to answer that question, but to talk about, the importance of how we're, like you said, Lori, the diversity of the workforce, but also, Juan Pablo touching on the subject that you had, not only the diversity of the workforce, but how can we turn these employees into essentially employers? So first things first, are you guys currently hiring for construction laborers on any of your projects? And then anyone from the group, if we can talk about what that matriculation looks like from employer to employee, from employee to employer.
So CTA does not hire the construction workers directly. Those would be hired through the contractors. And I think that's a very important point to make, right? Because if you're looking for work, we will do our best to host informational sessions where we'll have the contractors, we'll have unions, we even have workforce partners on RPM, Hire 360 and Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership. But the construction opportunities aren't directly with CTA. We create them through workforce goals on our projects. And I don't want to speak for Lori and Judy, but it's the same with other agencies, right? We don't do the hiring of the construction employees. We contract out the work so that the contractor hires them.
And so since COVID-19, I think if you are a laborer, some of the good and bad thing about COVID-19, construction was deemed essential. And so because of that, construction has continued to work. There's been obviously a couple inefficiencies and a couple of delays due to some of the materials needed, the close proximity to people working on the site. However, unions have still been hiring. And at this time, believe it or not, this is one of the best time to be in construction, especially a worker, because they are desperate for help. And so it may not be on government projects, but especially private. So if you are a union laborer, I would contact your local BA and make sure that you're on the appropriate list and let them know that you are actively looking, because even on the private side, they are desperately looking for people.
A bit on our projects, we don't require them to be union. However, also the prime contractor, they do hire union workers, but you don't have to be part of the union.
I think that's a good point that Lori brought up. Right now there's it's a great time to get into construction and make sure that you're networking with folks that then can provide you those opportunities, both training and career opportunities.
Yeah.
And your second part, China, was how do you move from a worker to a business, right?
Yeah. How can folks matriculate, especially in this space?
So I think one of the opportunities, well, now you have time to work on your business plan, get, like you said, certification. Juan Pablo and Judy talked about filling out the paperwork for your certifications. Any of those things, you want to start building your business of the work you've done. It is probably, especially if you're just starting out, you might have to use a lot of private projects as your sample agreements or sample invoices or sample jobs you have when you apply for at least certification. That would help you to get your book and all your jobs worked up to show that you have experience in that area. So I would start during this time at least getting your paperwork in order. And then after that, it is still the networking game. With anything else, you want to make sure you network with those primes. You want to make sure you are able to avail yourself to any opportunity. And when you have that opportunity, you want to excel. So one of the things that I think a lot of small businesses that just start out to do, they want the job so bad, so they have a very low price. And so you are often picked because you're the low bidder, but really in reality, it needed to be a certain price to actually do the work. So you're not benefiting yourself from cutting yourself at the end. So you want to make sure that you have a good estimating department. Not only are the hands-on work important, but the back of the house is important. And that's where another area I think we talked about in one of the other construction talks is about making sure your back of the house is good to go. You want to make sure that all your T's are crossed, your I's are dotted. You want to make sure you look at your subcontractor agreements, what you're agreeing to. All those things would help. And I think some of those assist agencies would be able to help you a lot to do that. But those are some of the things that I think would be important.
And I think that we have a few questions that I want to answer from the webinar. So Lori, this one is from you. For you, Lori, where do you get the networking sessions booklet?
So there is no booklet. I was trying to answer and not look like I was on the webinar at the same time. But the networking sessions are typically for us, we blast them out similar to how we blasted this event out. We will blast it out, let you know time, date, location, where they might be. Now they will all be virtual for a couple of months, I'm sure. But we send it out through our website. So that's why it's important to look up Department of Procurement Services with the city. You want to sign up for Chicago Public Schools. You want to sign up for CTA. You want to sign up for PACE. You want to sign up for city colleges, Metra, Parks, IDOT, Tollway. I'm probably missing some, but everybody has CHA. You want to make sure that you look at, and typically it's something you just sign up quickly and put your email address, and I would start attending those. So it's not a booklet per se, it's just a matter of getting that word out.
And so trying to talk about that employee to employer track, some of the most successful construction DBEs that I've seen in my time at CTA were former tradesmen and tradeswomen, right? That they worked, 5, 10, 15 years in, for example, the electrical trade, and then they started their own business. And now they're employing individuals from their communities to work on these projects, and they're winning CTA work, PBC work, so on and so forth. So I would encourage the folks that are thinking about a career in construction and have that entrepreneurial spirit as well, that going into the trades is a great way to start your path to build your business. Start networking while you're working in the trades with business owners, so that when you're ready to make that jump, you've got a good support system as well.
Great, thank you. And I think that this gives us a perfect segue into another question that was asked. So for professional services, are the agency's websites the only or the best or both methods to learn of current or future opportunities? And I think, Lori, you answered this a little bit with consistently checking your website. But Juan Pablo and Judy, can you chime in on that question for me?
Yes, checking our website. All our opportunities are listed on our website, all the current opportunities. And also, if you register as a vendor, you will receive emails from PACE as the opportunities go out.
Yeah, I would also say checking our buying plan. All the agencies produce a buying plan, and that for CTA, it gives you an 18-month look ahead at what we're planning on procuring. So that should give you a great foresight to do some business planning and to know more or less what quarter we're planning on putting out specific contracts.
We also have the anticipated bids listed on our website also.
Another thing too would just be, I would watch the news. Typically you'll hear an announcement by the mayor, who is in charge of most of the agencies, including the suburban agencies. I know PACE did a press conference when they got the capital, some of the capital funds. So all those things, as soon as you hear something on the news, you know it's a project coming, you can look at one of the agencies and say, I wonder which agency has that. But that's another good way, is just to keep your ear on the ground for the news.
Great. And this question is for JP. Can non-union subs work with primes on CTA projects?
So again, we have a multi-project PLA, multi-project labor agreement. So as long as you're willing to sign a project-specific agreement with the union, you can participate on CTA projects. That includes the subcontractors as well.
Sounds good. And I know that we are kind of short on time, so I wanted to end with this, and I think that this is a really important question, and Judy touched a little bit on it. So we talk about the importance of the DBE, the MBE, and the WBE program, and how, like Lori mentioned earlier in the conversation, how it is definitely a game changer for these folks, because they're getting this certification and then they're being recognized on these projects. If you guys could share, or if you feel like sharing some successful DBE or MBE, WBE stories that you may have, where you have seen the DBEs graduate from the program or the MBE, WBEs graduate from the program, and just how they're thriving now. Judy, I know you mentioned PACE with SCR, and I think that was a great example, but Juan Pablo or Lori, can you guys give us an example of just some MBE, WBEs that you have seen graduate through the program that are doing, exceptionally well?
Well, another one that Judy talked about was Colette Holt and Associates. She was a DBE and an expert in the DBE field, really, and performed a lot of disparity studies, and has now graduated out of the program. There are a few successful firms that are still in the program and growing that I've seen really work the networking game, like Livewire Construction, Bartech. These are firms that have really, again, individuals that came through the trades, opened their own business, did a really good job at keeping up with networking, attending events, talking to individuals from all the agencies, making sure that they were on all those lists that we talk about to get the alerts, and pursued the work.
I'll just keep up with the example I gave for Southside. Trice Construction used to only do concrete. Now she's a prime. But on that project, even though we have a prime, some of the other companies were Brown and Moman that have done a lot of work. David Mason. We had Livewire, we had Level One that does a lot of county work. We have Brooke Architecture that started off, she did a lot of churches, and now she's doing major projects. We have Sean Brown that does abatement and environmental work. We have Taylor Electric that was started off as a small MBE firm. We have a Truck King Hauling. So I can name a few, and they're all were on Southside, but some of these are primes. We had 2-in-1, we had Right Way Construction. So there are a lot of firms that, again, if these assist agencies are some of the networking you can do, you can ask people, and people are, even though you might be a competitor, people are willing to give you information about growing capacity, lessons learned, which is one of the most important things you want to ask people, like, hey, what are some things you failed at and then came out on top? Those are important questions that I think that would help a business. But then we have Kate's Detective. I'm just trying to think of all of these different areas that have really been successful. So we are really excited about the horizon of MW and DBEs, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you. And I think that this will definitely end the conversation. Lori, you mentioned about building capacity. JP, if you could talk more about CTA's small business, I think it's the BSB program, the Building Small Business Capacity Program. If you could just talk to the viewers a little bit about that. And I think that you guys have maybe a meet and greet coming up, and if you can let them know more about that.
Yes, so our next workshop is July 16th. And we'll send out the link for registration as a follow-up to today's webinar. But it really is a program that's looking to help small business owners who are looking to take their business to the next level in terms of financial capacity. Again, you'll attend the workshop where we'll talk about what is capital, how to get capital, how to leverage what you already have, and then sit down with in a one-on-one session to talk about where you are, where you want to be, and then the steps that you need to take to get there. We've had firms pursuing funding, and now with the pandemic, we've even gone back and talked to firms about applying for the CARES Act funding, the Payroll Protection Program, or PPP, and the Emergency and Economic Injury and Disaster Loan, EIDL. And the firms that participate in the program have gotten over $4 million worth of capital, whether it be through the CARES Act or working capital. So this is a great opportunity for firms to talk about their financials and really take it again to that next level this is how you grow to be these firms that we're talking about that have made success, right? They know how to leverage the cash that's coming in to create more opportunities and create more income for themselves.
Thank you. And Judy or Lori, if you know of any resources that you want to mention as we're ending for businesses that are just starting, small businesses, DBEs, MBEs, WBEs, please feel free to share it with the group.
Federation of Women Contractors, HICEA, Black Contractors United, Black Contractors,
Owners and executives.
Thank you. You saw the wheel turning. We have women owners, Mary Kay's group.
Yeah, I think it's WCOE.
Okay.
Women in Construction Executives.
Yes.
We have Frida Curry at WBDC is helpful. There's a lot, if you look at all our agencies, typically in any contract, they have a list of assist agencies. They would be able to help. And of course, I don't work for the SBA, but SBA 8A program is a great resource to help anybody. And with the city is Business Affairs and Consumer Protection. You can go, I guess, to their website. I was going to say to the 8th floor. And they will hook you up with I believe, a business consultant that can help you talk about what do you need, permits, licenses, all those things you might want to start on.
Right. The Small Business Association is really good. And, we have assist agencies listed on our website also.
Right. And if you guys are in the Zoom webinar chat, please see we've dropped a few links. As Juan Pablo mentioned, we'll be sending these links out after construction talks today. But please see PACE's link where you can register as a vendor. Juan Pablo mentioned earlier in the conversation, registering as a vendor with CTA through the DBE. Through the DBE link that he said, and then Lori shared more information about the PBC and just signing up for alerts on their website. So just want to thank you guys for being a part of this conversation. Thank you, Juan Pablo. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Lori, for sharing with our viewers the importance of the MBE, WBE, and DBE program and how we really want to see these businesses thrive and survive, especially in a time like this. So again, guys, thank you for joining us today on our construction talks. We look forward to chatting with you at our next talk. The next talk is going to be geared towards job seekers. It's going to be co-hosted in partnership with CTA, the Roofers District Council, and the Construction Industry Service Corporation on July 10th. So again, sign up for that. If you know someone that is looking for workforce opportunities, CTA has 2 workforce consultants that we've hired, Hire 360 and the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership, that assist us with training and workforce opportunities on our RPM project. But again, thank you guys for spending your afternoon with us, and we look forward to chatting with you again.